Today we're working on using our watercolors to paint our doodles, tags, and pages, so we leave no page blank in our planner for this month. Hi everyone, Patty here. I picked a few greens and blues in my light watercolor pan and see what we can add to our pages. I did find my box of planner pages that I so desperately looked for before I started working on this month but couldn't find during our move. I kept adding items to this box and I knew I had great stuff to add, but this month we went simple, worked with what I could find during the move, and I believe April turned out to be quite a work of art, even if it is simple doodles and light watercolor, keeping the KISS idea in mind, which means keep it simple. Why stress ourselves out just because we can't find something or it's not quite what we want, but in the end you look back and think, I love it. We're ready to flip through what we accomplished for March and add it to our journal. The first tag has thoughts about moving at almost 70 years of age. Not an easy task. Couldn't have done it without the grandkids' daughter and her husband. They not only moved everything we owned into the new house, but they've been helping organize, build gates, shelves, and put things away. I add March to the elastic spine in my journal that I have made, and it is a work in progress as each month I add to the elastic spine. I get my April pages out and we're ready to do something with this back page. Because when I had to restamp these pages, I stamped the weekly where I usually glue this cut page onto, and now my weekly will be cut in half, which I don't want to do. So what to do? I could add this envelope to the flap. I collect this type of paper that has a slick side so I can make faux tape with my alcohol inks. I won't make more of it right now as I already have some. It is really easy and adds interest to our journal pages and gives them a vintage feel. Just add color, adhesive tape, like Scotch or packaging tape, you can find this in different widths, onto a non-stick surface, such as parchment paper or sticker backing, and stain it with alcohol inks. I used ginger, latte, and caramel. Blend the colors with rubbing alcohol and a sponge, then allow it to dry to create aged grungy tape perfect for our journals. I ended up taping the piece that I had cut off to make a tag with back onto where I had cut it off with the faux vintage tape. I want to add this envelope to this back page, being we don't have a tuck spot or any place to add items, and I know this month I'll be going to the nurseries and will be buying plants, which I love to document into my planner when I planted them, what I planted, and sometimes I put the tags into the journal from the potted plant. My envelope is a little big, so I folded the flap a little more so it would fit my page and not overhang the pages too much. If I glue the flap down only at the top and the bottom and a little down the spine, then I will be able to use this as a tuck spot, and on the other side I'll have a pocket from the envelope. Now we need to add some decorations to the page. I ripped a piece of book page to fit the flap, and one to fit the envelope. I just eyeballed the size I wanted for the book page onto the envelope flap and onto the envelope, ripped it accordingly. Glue it to the envelope. I find the book pages I have, when I read them, there's bad words or words that wouldn't be that great onto my page. I need to throw the pages away, but I like the patina color, and I bought the book at our local library sale for the book cover. I like the size, and I want to make a journal with old book covers. First, I need to get all moved in and figure out where everything is, and then I'll be ready to start creating more journals. I did the same thing for the flap on the envelope on the back page, ripped the book page to fit the flap and glued it down. Now to add some watercolors. For the envelope side, I will paint 6 squares or rectangles to the page. No measuring, just adding color to my page. I have 3 light green colors and a couple blue colors that I add water to activate the watercolor and add each color to the book page. For the flap of the envelope, I add strips of watercolor to the flap. I used the light blue to make a wash around the doodle, leaving a white border around the edge. I didn't tape it off, just freehanded the blue wash around the doodle. Separate the pages and add some watercolors to the other doodles I've already drawn. The front page will have a blue leaf in the center and green leaves on the side. You have two ways of adding watercolor to the leaves, either by adding clean water to the leaf and then adding your color by just dropping the watercolor into the wet leaf and letting it flow. It will follow the area where you had put the clean water. Drop in other colors and just let them flow where they go. Depending on how much water you used on the leaf will determine how the color will flow around the leaf. The other way is to add the watercolor with your paintbrush to the leaf and keep adding color to the leaf till you get the color you want. I wanted it darker where the dots are, so I keep adding color to that area to darken that section of the leaf. I plan to go back and add white gel pen to those dots and make white dots after the watercolor has dried for added interest to my leaves. Add a little watercolor to the 3 lines where we had written the words April in different fonts. We are using a light enough watercolor that you can see the words just fine through the color. The plan on the back page is to go around the flowers with a light green and leave the flowers white. The monthly page has a vine all the way around the monthly stamped image. I just dot a little green onto each leaf, not really worrying about if the color covers the whole leaf or not, just a dot of color onto each leaf. By the time I get back to the top of the monthly page, my watercolor is almost dry, so I go back and add the darker green watercolor to several of the vine leaves. This darkened several leaves and gave the vine some depth with the darker color. The watercolor has dried around the 3 big doodle leaves, so I can go back and paint the leaves a green color, adding a darker green to one side of the leaf, and keep adding color till you get the desired look you want. I didn't put too much color on the half arcs or half circles, as I wanted to go back and add white gel pen to this area. To achieve the darker green, I had to get out some other watercolors to get a darker contrasting color. Use what you have and enjoy the process. Wait for the leaves to dry before you add color to the stem, or else the color will run into the leaves. I used the Posca pen to see how the color would work onto the strips, and the Posca pen just didn't give me the white I wanted, but it added marks to my strips by trying out different pens and markers to get the white I wanted to add to the leaves and the center of the flowers. The gel pen worked the best, but you have to make sure the watercolor is dried before you add your white marks. I still have a blank page, so I ripped another book page and glued it down to the blank page. Plus I used half a book page that I glued to a piece of cardstock to make a pocket. This helped reinforce the pocket. I haven't glued the pocket onto the page yet, as I want to draw the vine down the page and glue the pocket on so that the vine looks 3D. Well, maybe not 3D, but it gave it some depth. As you can see the vine going below the pocket line and onto the pocket. Paint the vine before adding the pocket and let it dry so you can glue the pocket onto the page. On this vine, I used my watered-down black gesso that I have put into a fine line tip bottle. We have used this in almost every month. I went around the vine leaves and darkened the whole vine to help it stand out. I didn't try to go around it perfectly. I wanted the other lines to show also, so it has several lines for adding depth to each leaf. Added the fine line black lines to the colored rectangles on the envelope. Just have fun adding some doodles to the rectangles with the fine line black. Plus, this gave the vine on the other page time to dry, so I could go back and line up the pocket and glue it down on 3 sides so we can add a tag. Added another pocket by using the other half of the pocket that we made with the book page glued to the cardstock. This one I drew a simple flower, added some watercolors in the blues. For the tags, I glued a couple pieces of the book pages to a piece of cardstock. For some reason, I like my text on my book pages to be going in the right direction. If I'm making a master board, I can add book pages going in different directions. But for these tags, I had to have them going in the correct direction. Or should I say, correct for me, reading it left to right. Do you really look at the book page and actually read it later? I don't think so, which will be good in the case of this book. It does help with not having a blank page and having something to start with, so I find that helpful. After gluing the book pages to the cardstock, I cut off any excess with my paper trimmer and squared up the edges. Cut this in half and just cut the corners to make tags by using the trimmed off corner flipped over to make the same cut on the other side of the tag. Now we have 2 tags to use in our pockets. Ink the edges, that is a given, going back after the pages are done. I see I missed the inking of the edges on the book pages that I put onto the envelope, but we aren't going to stress over that because the pages are looking great. I added the fine line black to the flower pocket. Just went for it and add the fine line black by making some freehand flower and leaf to the tags. Let those dry before adding color to your tags. I added a poem or quote on the back page. That has the strip of vintage faux tape. One side has a poem. We can complain because rose bushes have thorns, or rejoice because thorn bushes have roses. Author unknown. I thought that was great for my envelope because I will be putting information about plants I picked up at the nursery this month. Down the other side of the tape, I added the note about replanting my bleeding heart and heuchera into a trough in the shade. Plus, my daughter gave me a green hellebora as a housewarming gift. I can't wait to see those growing out my craft window. The tags are dry, and I can add some watercolor to them. Just a hint of color to the leaf and flower. This month is turning out to be great, even when I had limited supplies, in the middle of a move, and couldn't even get to my desk, let alone find a corner to get cleaned off, to be able to create something. I feel that engaging in creative activities and working in my planner and making JJs is a mindful distraction and helps me relax with all of the chaos of moving. Have fun and enjoy the process, and let's see what May will bring. Bye now.